That it occurred to me that this was going to be a life-changing pandemic was when Ben and I had just gone to Colorado to speak for the Environmentalist Film Festival, and on our way back, I remember being in the airplane and there just being way less people. Everybody was on edge and I couldn't figure out why. And it wasn't until we started hearing things about an actual virus that was in our hometown that was just making everybody sick, but not just close to home, but everywhere. It was all over the place. And the other instance was when my dad's birthday is at the end of March, and I'm a very family-oriented person, and I love being with my family. And I just remember not being able to be there on his actual birthday was heartbreaking. I have never had an instance where I wasn't allowed to be in my parents' home. And I did it more preemptively because everybody was saying, be distanced, wear masks. So like I would show up at my parents' house wearing a mask, but only staying in the doorway. I didn't know if I was asymptomatic or one of those super spreaders or what have you. So on his actual birthday, we did a Zoom call. And I just remember thinking that this isn't right. This is very, very weird. I don't like this. So that was really what drove home for me of this is real. This is something that's not gonna go away for a while. So I know for my sister Amelia, she was in high school as a senior in May of 2020, and it was something where we had no idea if they were gonna do a formal graduation, what was it gonna be like. So for her, she lost out on her whole senior year of finishing up with friends, going to those iconic gatherings and doing the senior parties, all of that. She got none of it. But in the whole process of everything, she realized, family's more important. This is superficial. I don't need to concern myself with all of these extracurricular activities. I'm still able to communicate with my friends. Like, even before COVID happened, she would constantly be on FaceTime with her friends. It made no difference to her, so none of that changed. But in the sense of the in-person learning, it was completely different for her. So it was very life-changing in a sense that she didn't get those final moments with her friends. So I know for her and for me, it allowed us to kind of figure out what is meaningful to everybody. So one of the things that I do here at PACTV is I am the educational services supervisor. So that being said, schools closed down during this pandemic. So no one was allowed in the building at any point, and they moved it to a remote setting. Initially, the parents were told, okay, we're going remote for 2 weeks, and then they extended it to a month, to 3 months. Now we're gonna finish the school year in a remote setting. So it changed my job drastically of trying to communicate with these teachers, these students, but in a non-person setting. I had to do everything via digital communication. And that was a struggle in itself because not everybody has a computer, not everybody knows how to use Zoom. So it was something where I had to adapt my work life to accommodate these teachers and students and figure out how can I help them, how can I serve them. So over the summer of 2020, all of these teachers were putting together these small videos saying, we miss you, we can't wait to have you back, and just addressing the students that we're still here for you. So I was able to help push that message out to these students through the teachers, but in a totally different way, because normally I would be in the building doing hands-on learning with students, teaching them how to use a camera, how to conduct interviews, how to put together packages. We had just started putting together a news show, so it dramatically changed the way that we put out this information. Trying to take that day by day was very, very difficult, but essentially I think we came to a workflow that ended up kind of smoothing itself out. I mean, there are still kinks and things that are different, but we can only do what we can. So when everything shut down and I was classified as an essential worker, it changed my perspective on a lot of things. I ended up taking basically my entire work life, transferring it to a hard drive, and spending the next 2 weeks from that initial shutdown point and worked from home. The fact that I was able to work from home was wonderful because I had no distractions, I had no outside people coming in and disturbing, but it also made me realize that what I do is really, really valuable. Even though I work for a small community access station, the products and the information that we put out there is so important for the rest of our towns that had we not been here, I feel like a lot of our community members would have been left in the dark, especially the seniors, the younger students. We have so many towns that rely on, like, our board of selectmen and everything, telling them this is what's going on. When I was given the opportunity to work from home, I took that very seriously. It was a relief to me knowing that I was safe in my own home, but I also had the opportunity to come back at any point. So it wasn't a situation where I was being shut out. Knowing that I was an essential worker was very eye-opening, but it also allowed me to grow a little bit on my own. Some of the things that have changed for us to feel more comfortable in the building is we actually did a whole company-wide reorganization. I was initially in a different office. Everybody was moved around. There's now more doors for bigger airflow, but initially Julie was in the center of the building, and every time you would walk by her office, you would see all of these memes just across her wall, and every day there would be a new one, and her whole entire office just became consumed by all of these different silly anecdotes and just funny images. So every time I'd come in, I'm like, all right, what new one does she have today? So she did an amazing job from the beginning of keeping us all safe, because we're still in this situation where none of us have gotten sick yet. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed that none of us will. The fact that we've gone this long with no one getting COVID is amazing. The way that I'm keeping myself physically active, I actually started doing yoga in February. And it's something where initially I had been going to the studio and it was a hot yoga, and then COVID happened. And it's something where it turned to an online platform. So I was taking all these classes online from home, but then eventually I was able to go back to the studio because they were doing outdoor classes. Because it was something where they accommodated for what was happening in our environment, it was something that I could keep doing. Years prior, I had been a martial arts student. It took me to a different perspective where I was able to take the foundation of martial arts and apply it to yoga, where now I can do these different holds for a multitude of time, and I never thought I would be able to do this before. So I'll be coming up on a year of doing this new thing that's not only strengthening my body, but challenging my mind, keeping my spirit open, and just allowing me to be someone that I never thought I really could be. I did as much meditation as I could just to keep myself sane. I started taking care of more of my plants, really diving into what specific plants there are. So now I've got 30 different species at home. So I really dove head first. Some people went into bread. I went into plants. So because of the extra time that I had, I started coming up with ideas of new show topics, and I actually came up with a concept called Setting Your Green Space for the local scene. So over the last couple of months, I've been filming with a company called Maribet Farms, and they're all about sustainable permaculture, how to make these small-scale gardens, how to make compost, how to prune different plants. So it's something where our environment has been consistently changing, and we need to make these small changes to better our future, where I can give knowledge from another outside source to the local community where they might not have known how to do something before. I had no idea the importance of making your own compost, so I even purchased my own little composting bin where I take my kitchen scraps. All of the bananas, coffee grinds, avocado peels, things that I normally would throw away and not think twice about it, now go into this separate bin that I can use to create my own soil in the spring. So it's something where this information is going to be in the show that we can give to other people. So I'm very excited. COVID definitely changed my personal life because my partner Chris had just started a brand new job, and he was honestly in it for a month when his job was said, all right, we're putting everybody on furlough. we're letting everybody go. Part of his job was actually going door to door and talking to people. So it was very scary in a sense of, when am I going to hear that he caught something or somebody in his office caught something? We had no idea. So knowing that he was in a position being outside and talking to these people during this pandemic was terrifying. It was something that we both had never navigated before. I wanted to be able to say it's going to be okay, but at the same rate, I didn't know. This is something that everybody's been experiencing worldwide because so many people have lost their jobs, but we knew it was a transition period and we were committed to each other no matter the circumstances. So in a way, it actually made us a little bit stronger as a couple, and we've been together for almost 10 years, so it's something where we know that no matter what life throws at us, we're still going to be there to support each other. The way that I think about things have changed as well, because things that I thought that I needed are now superficial to me. I don't need to go to a store to get a certain thing. I don't need to go out to a restaurant, but it's more of a want. Ultimately, it's something where us as a community and us as a whole have to think about our gross consumerism and how we need to kind of make things a little bit more simple and just realize that we're better human beings without it, because now we're communicating with each other and doing things with each other in a different way that we may not have necessarily thought of outside of this pandemic. Several months into this pandemic, I still believe that there is hope. There's 100% hope for humanity. There is hope that this pandemic will subside, that people will get vaccinated, that families will be able to see each other again. But knowing that our community has come together so much over this past year is very enlightening to know that we're always there for each other. We always have each other's backs, and I don't think that's going to go away anytime soon.